Good morning, Southwest Florida, and welcome to the American Tradesman Show with my guest, Gerald Prevett from B&K.
Yep.
Looks like Brian's not in today. What happened, Gerald?
I think he's going to be running late this morning.
He's running late. That tells you he can't get to the Super Bowl in the morning, can he?
That's it.
But Brian Prevett from Prevett Plumbing and Juan Silva, my partner from American Electrical. Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Well, fellas, again, it's week 3, right? I guess it is, Gerald. Week 3. Is that what you would call it? Going on week 4 of the coronavirus.
Week forever.
Week forever. I'm hearing some new dates, which is May 3rd. May 3rd, is that what I'm hearing now? Is that opening date?
That'd be great.
Is that like baseball opening day, May 3rd?
That's it.
That's what I'm hearing.
I think everybody needs to get back to work.
I think it's time to get back to work. I think we haven't stopped working, right, Juan?
No.
I wanted you guys out there in the audience to listen at any time that you needed American Contracting. We and American Electrical and B&K Services and Brian Prevett, we have been working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week throughout this whole process of the coronavirus, right, fellas?
Yep.
That's right.
So, we are prepared. We have gloves, right, Juan? We have masks.
We're prepared.
We are prepared to come into your home. So I want everybody to understand that we are working out at American Electrical and Contracting, as well as Gerald and his brother from Prevett Plumbing. They've been working nonstop straight through this coronavirus. So, and we're prepared for that, right?
That's right.
So if you need us to come into your house, I want you guys to know out there in the audience that we are prepared to walk into your home with mask and gloves and booties, correct?
Yes.
That's it.
So don't fret.
Call Prevett.
What's that phone number, Gerald?
239-596-5533.
Well, again, I say this again. I mean, the coronavirus has been somewhat of a situation for all of us out there that haven't been able to work. And we talked last week, most of the time, is that most of these families, right, Juan, are all kind of grouped together.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially if you're a Latin family.
I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. I got a text message or a message on my Facebook that your wife was ready to move out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can only say I'm ready to move in.
Yeah, she can move out and I'll move in now.
That wouldn't be good.
I'm just playing.
Melissa, have you heard that, Melissa? I'm not the one that's involved in that, but a lot of, right, Gerald, I mean, a lot of families are all grouped up in these houses right now. And the stress levels are probably high. I am a solo mio at my house right now, but I do know, I mean, that the stress is very high for a lot of these families that are trying to get groceries. I mean, I went yesterday still trying to find toilet paper.
Wow.
I mean, what's going on with the toilet paper? I mean,
I don't
this
know.
has gotten me. I mean, thank God I got a few toilet paper rolls in a box. It's kind of that rough stuff, Juan.
Making me want to buy stock.
I think it's time to buy stock in a lot of things. But the reality is that the quality of air inside of these units right now, some of these homes, right, Gerald, is going to be part of some of the things that I want the audience to understand is changing filters is going to be some of the things that we need to do. And hypothetically B&K, you guys are doing low in the quality of the air, right? Trying to keep it clean.
That's it. That's a lot of hot breaths in one house. It's going to get stale quick.
Well, 3 weeks is going to create a lot of problems, and I'm sure 4 weeks into this next week is going to be probably the toughest parts of all of this because it was fun for the first 2 weeks, but these last 2 weeks coming into it is going to be pretty rough for some of these people staying at home, I'm sure. So air quality is part of what, to say in the sense of B&K and Brian over at Prevett Plumbing, they can take care of the quality service, right, Gerald?
That's it.
I mean, they've had the equipment under the ozone machine. It takes only a few hours, have we learned after the last few shows of talking about, quality of air. A couple hours in that ozone machine is something that, some people need to really kind of think about. It's not a lot of time to get it done, right?
That's it.
And most of the people don't understand that cleaning up the air quality, cleaning your air filters. Danny from Doria's is out today. He's got his own emergencies going on, but the reality is that all the air conditioning units and any of the ductwork is going to have to be cleaned after this virus has kind of gotten all clear, I guess, right?
Yeah, and we see it quite often, whether it's the virus or people don't realize if you've ever had your unit freeze up, your air conditioner unit freeze up, it's leaked water out. And chances are you've seen it leak down on top of your water heater. You've seen it leak down the wall. If it's done that before, truthfully, you really need to get your ductwork fogged with that because once that water settles in somewhere it's going to start creating, mold, mildew, all kinds of stuff, and that's going to get sucked right into your ductwork, and we see that so much.
The air quality is going to be an important part of the process. I mean, once people start to come back out to work land, right? I guess that's what it's called.
Yeah, get back to work. And I think the biggest issue is we're all home, as I'm saying, as my family and those of you who are at home, but you get the chance to kind of look at your system, kind of look at your electrical, you get to look at your plumbing, and you get to look at your AC, and you're going to start noticing things that you did not notice before, you being at work this whole time. And I guess we're just trying to say here is now's the time to take advantage of getting these things maintenanced.
Yeah, it's very important to understand from the standpoint of the virus. And I have said last week, if some people are working in the household and then they go home to the household, it's obvious they're bringing things back to the house, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's scary because, I mean, you never know, especially with, soft material, your jeans, your shoes, your shirts, whatever. I mean, you never know what they may come in contact with or who may be around that may, have something, and then it gets transferred to that clothing. And then who knows, once you enter your home, if it gets transferred into your couch, your carpet, because everybody walks on carpet. If it scrubs your shoes, it may scrub it off. If you brush your shoes against the couch, who knows what may happen.
It's funny when you say that because, bringing family members over to have barbecues is what I've seen in the last few weeks, and I start to think to myself, I mean, people are bringing their other families over to their house like as if it's a
I couldn't imagine what Easter was like.
vacation. Yeah, but, the reality is that people are bringing their own family members over, and you don't really know who has the virus, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something that hey, I trust you. You don't have it, right? I seen it today at Walgreens. A guy had a bulletproof, it looked like a bulletproof plastic shield in front of him. I mean, I told him, I said, boy, I wish I would have been the millionaire that thought about that little bulletproof right after the virus. And then he looks around it and he goes, yeah, me too.
Looks around it.
Yeah, I don't think this thing was maybe 24 inches wide. So, when he said that, I said, man, that's like a bulletproof. And he goes, yeah, it is, isn't it? So I thought to myself, well, that defeated the mask and that bulletproof shield. But there's so many things that this has changed in lives. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, the things that people have changed over in the last 4 weeks of what this virus has done, right? And I will say, I'm gonna make a very clear comment out there in my audience is that please pick up your rubber gloves out of the Walgreens and public shopping centers. Please don't just throw them on the floor. I mean, if there's something this is the worst thing I could ever see is that if you go to Walgreens, which I'm at the post office every day, which is next door to the Walgreens. I mean, between that parking lot and the Publix parking lot, I have never seen rubber gloves in my lifetime all over the place, like as if they were a doctor and flung it out. I mean, it's not only is it unsanitized, but I mean, it's your gloves. Take them home, throw them in the garbage, right, and throw them away. That's the easiest thing to do.
Dispose of them correctly.
So I'm asking out there if you're one of those persons that have them gloves on. Take those gloves and throw them at home, not on the ground, right on the ground outside wherever you're at that you've used them. I mean, be respectful of everybody. I mean, not to say it, but those gloves go down the drains and get all over the place. So please pick up your gloves, pick up your mask, and throw them at home. That's the best thing I could suggest. Today, fellas, I didn't want to jump off the coronavirus in the air, but it's back to electrical, right?
Electrical.
So the electrical world this week, I mean, we wanted to kind of touch base on was a surge protection, right?
Yeah, we want to touch bases on surges.
Surge is an important thing that we're coming up into hurricane season, right?
Yeah.
And most people don't recognize that surge protection is just what it's named, surge. I mean, it's designed, for a surge in your electrical service, right?
So, now is the time to think about that. We've been going over the past couple of shows on being, hurricane season ready by getting the lockout kits. Keep in mind, guys, the lockout promotion is still going on. It's a $675 value. We're doing it at $600 right now.
Those lockout kits, man. I mean, they're going off like hotcakes, right, Juan?
They're going out like hotcakes right now. And just to give you a brief description, it's, installing a generator interlock kit at your electrical panel with a 50 amp, inlet, getting you ready for a generator hookup. So it goes hand in hand with surges. And the reason why I say that is hurricane season's coming. We're starting to see the rain, now, but we're going to start seeing the rain a lot more, and we're going to start seeing the lightning. And I don't have to, tell you, you already know what Florida is, the lightning capital. So you want to protect, any equipment that you have, vital equipment, and what we do here at American Electrical is we do a comprehensive, protection for your home. And we go through, we see what devices that we can install to protect your ACs, protect your pumps, your pool pumps, your electrical panel, and any sensitive equipment inside your home. We can actually install surge protection for your data lines, for your Ethernet, for phone lines, and for cable. So, those are one of the things that we can do for you.
Surge protections, a lot of times, people don't really understand what surge protection is about. Air conditioning, anything's motor controlled can control, surges in your lines. It doesn't come from a Florida Power and Light per se, correct?
You're right. Every single time a motor kicks on in your home, pool pump, compressor, refrigerator, freezer, that's a spike in power, and that's a surge in power. We call those micro surges. So any very sensitive equipment that you have may be susceptible to that.
Danny's not in today, but air conditioning, people recognize these surges a lot of times of lights dimming, correct?
Yeah.
And a lot of times we have learned over the years that compressors are designed from a capacitor standpoint. As the unit starts to get older, and I say older, as the unit gets older, the system starts to wind down the motors, and the motors take harder and harder to start, right?
Basically, yeah. So as, generally a motor, as it gets older, as Anthony said, it gets harder to turn on. It gets harder to start. And, that's why...
Kind of like me. It's probably like Brian. That's why he's not here right now. 6 o'clock in the morning, Brian's trying to start up. Gerald, we're already started. We're not sure which time.
Been gone.
It just gets harder for the motor to start. And a lot of these motors have starting capacitors, and it's just not doing its job. And, that's when hard starts get into play.
A lot of guys will put a hard start kit on a compressor to stop the I guess, in my words, RAM, or kind of the startup of the motor on a air conditioner to kind of lifen or live a little bit more life on the compressor, right?
Yeah, it's less stress on the compressor, it's less stress on your electrical system, as trying to get that inrush current.
Hard start kits, were not mandatory. I'm not going to go speaking out the terms, but was not mandatory probably 10 years ago as your air conditioning unit was set, right? Mm-hmm. So what's happened now, I know on the newer compressors that are, being issued out, is that most air conditioning compressors have hard start or a I guess it's a hard start kit.
Well, yeah, technology has progressed, with the compressors now, and the motors are a lot better, and it's a lot more efficient.
Well, one of the things that you talked about on the surge protection from air conditioning is that if you are at home and you notice that you're sitting there watching TV, which a lot of you probably have a lot of time watching TV now, if you notice your lights dim when your air conditioning cranks up, give us a call at American Electrical, because, that's one of the important things to understand, is that it could be an air conditioning problem, or also it could be some wiring problems too.
Yeah, so exactly. If you do see dimming lights, you do see flickering lights, once you hear that thermostat click on and you see all your lights dim down, or you kick on your microwave and you see your lights flicker, it could be one of or a combination of, AC or, electrical being faulty in your home. Give us a call at 239-353-4389. We can go through your home, do an inspection, and provide you a proposal on site, for any surge protection that you may want.
So a lot of the audience out there, I want you to understand, we just talked about the lights dimming from a standpoint of a surge. A lot of times surge is created, like we said, through pool pumps, through refrigerators, anything compressor, made, or motor made, that can cause a surge in your line. But the other types of surges, are from Florida Power and Light, right?
Yeah, Florida Power and Light, there's a certain time of day where Florida Power and Light switches their grid. They switch their power, and when that happens, it does cause a surge. Some people see it, some people don't. or they have a bad transformer down the line, or there's an accident down the line that causes a surge, and it filters its way through to your home. That's one way of saving yourself and saving your equipment is by installing surge protection.
Yeah, they backfeed quite a bit. I mean, I've known that in some points over the grids. I mean, birds definitely make a transformer blow, right? And it ends up blowing. Then all of a sudden it trips back, and the next thing you know, there's a dead bird. But that also gives you power so bad. I mean, it comes back at you. And I mean, I've seen them burn out compressors, capacitors on air conditioners. I mean, microwaves have been burnt up. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
there is so many times on a surge that I could tell you that, just from a flick of a bird being burnt up, you can get a surge back through your, electrical service. And, we're protecting it from that, right?
Yeah, we're protecting it. We look at all points. We try to protect any surges that are coming from within your home, and that's what we were discussing earlier about getting surges from your refrigerator, from any motors or anything that you have inside your home, and then outside your home as well, from either it coming in through FP&L, coming in through a strike down the road a few miles. I mean, it could come right through there, or actually coming through a strike through your pool equipment or your AC outside,
Or a tree.
or a tree.
Which leads me to believe that that's a lightning strike, right?
I mean, what I've actually seen is pretty. It's just crazy how the electricity travels. I've seen it hit an oak tree, bounce off the oak tree, hit the metal railing of a concrete fence. The concrete fence was reinforced with metal fibers, blew those fibers out of the concrete fence, jumped over the gate, made its way down to the motors, and made its way back to the electrical panel.
I wonder if that guy could give me a job. I mean, I'd like the job on that guy.
Yeah,
I mean I can only say the lightning, a lot of times we don't understand it. I mean, and we won't probably ever understand lightning bolt. Neither did Thomas Edison, right? But the reality is that from a lightning strike to a surge in your power lines is two different things. Some people get lightning confused with surge, right?
Yeah.
And the reality of all of it is that lightning is God's way of waking us up, right? Yeah.
That's a
Surge is a way of FP&L probably waking us up. So you do have two ways of getting, a surge in your line or a lightning strike. Surge can come from FP&L, like we spoke, right? Mm-hmm. And then it also can come from motor equipment driven that's in your home. So you can get it from the inside or the outside.
Yeah, that's why it's very important to have surge protection located outside. And what I mean by that is we install them at the disconnects for your compressors. We install them at the electrical panels for your pool equipment or any other equipment that you may have outside, because it has to travel from outside to in order to be protected. Well, if your equipment's outside, that's not doing you any good. You need it at the source, and the source, if it's outside, you need it outside.
Yeah, you don't want it to run from the pool equipment into the house because it's obviously the shortest resistance to power. So you want to kind of put a surge protector on the pool panel, right?
Yep.
And tell them where it's funny because most people don't understand, but let the audience know that where would you put a surge protector, and it's not just one little breaker, right?
No, you don't want to do that. We'll put them in electrical panels. We'll put them in sub panels. We'll put them at the disconnects. But one of the most important things about this, we can install surge protection up and down all over the place, but if you do not have a solid grounding system in your home, it's pointless.
You just kind of nailed it right there. Ground rods, right?
Yeah.
It is no longer. It is longer. It is no longer. I mean, the grounding in the NEC in the last 5 years has changed from rebar or what is it? Steel. Yep. In there to now to two ground rods 6 foot apart, right?
Yep.
To back to the reefer, right?
Yep.
So the grounding nowadays of most homes, probably any more than 5 years ago, is probably wrong right now. Based on the code.
Yeah, I mean, if you go outside your home and you look at where your meter is at, and if you see a metal pipe that's coming down and it like bends out of your wall, and there's nothing attached to that little metal bend, chances are that you do not have any grounding in your home. And that's very, very bad, because if you do have a surge, that means it has nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. And if it has nowhere to go to Earth, what I'm trying to say is it goes everywhere else.
Yeah, we were mandatory to run a 8 foot ground rod down in the ground, right? Mm-hmm. Then they asked us to put a piece of steel inside of the block wall and stick it out, right? Mm-hmm. and then they asked us to put 2 ground rods 6 foot apart off of, a bonded wire, correct?
Yep.
The grounding has changed so much that I would suggest highly, as an audience listening to about this electrical, grounding is the main source of your home. If you were to lose a neutral in the home, which is very common in a home, that means there's no grounding to your system. That means there's no neutral to your system. Juan, you can let them know just exactly what that means.
Well, if you lose a neutral, so what ends up happening in an electrical circuit is you have power coming in. It goes through, let's use a lamp for an example. You have power coming in, it goes through the filament of the lamp, and it comes back out on the neutral side. That's the unbalanced load. That's the used current. Well, that needs to go somewhere. So if you lose a neutral, and it doesn't find its way back to FP&L, is trying to get somewhere else. And that's a very, very bad situation, because if you lose your equipment ground, your service ground, your safety net, that means now that neutral is that unused current is going either to the metal of your dryer, the metal
TVs.
of your TVs.
Everything becomes 240 volts.
It's a very, very bad situation.
Yeah, not to say, but that's common. That's how things do burn down, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not to say it, but we see that very common in trailers, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's not to hate to say that, but again, surge protection is very important, especially at this time of the year, right, Juan?
Yeah, so now's the time to look at if you have standby power, if you are set up for the hurricane season, prepared, to have an interlock kit with an inlet for a generator hookup, but also on top of that, a way of protecting your equipment. We all make investments. We all like to buy the 50-inch TVs and our MacBooks and so on and so forth. Trust me, guys, when I tell you this, it goes through your lines easily. It'll go right through that little USB connector, right into your phone, right into your MacBook, right into your laptop, your TVs.
It'll burn everything
your
up.
Radio station, your Sonos system. It'll burn. Just think of the thousands of dollars that you have invested in your home. You have to have surge protection.
Yeah, not to say with it, but over the last few months, as you guys know, I've been building a home out in Golden Gate Estates as a spec home for sale, out on 5th Street Northwest, 667 5th Street Northwest. We have provided that home with pretty much everything we could put in it, right, Juan?
I don't know. There's even more whistles you can do. It has all the bells.
Maybe they can whistle it to get. But we do have a home, spec home that's going up. It's a model home under American Contracting Services. We've been working on it for the last 8 months, and we're finishing up. And we'll be having a grand opening here probably in a few weeks. You can kind of see some of the work that some of the guys do, from Prevet Plumbing to American Electrical and American Contracting, some of the work that we've done over there, and from all the subs out there. But American Contracting's got a spec home that we're building out in Golden Gate Estates. And if you're more than happy to give us a call at 239-719-1789. That's 239-719-1789. If you're looking to build a home, a brand new home out in Golden Gate Estates or Lehigh Acres or Fort Myers or Naples or Cape Coral, wherever it is, I'd be more than happy to meet with you. American Contracting Services, 239-719-1789. You can talk to Michelle or myself, and we'll be more than happy to talk to you. But Juan, I want to just one more touch on American Electrical. You guys are setting up pretty soon here for generator season, lockout season. We just talked about on the portables, but the surge protection is very important for everybody to understand, right?
Yeah, surge protection. And one thing I want to touch base on, Anthony, is I get this question asked a lot. Well, does the surge protector reset itself? And the answer is no. It doesn't reset itself. What a surge protector does is that it reads your voltage coming in. When that starts to spike up, it clamps. It clamps down on that voltage and does not let it pass through. Only the specified voltage that is designed for. Once that voltage peaks so high, it damages itself. It takes the hit per se. Now, that could be that could be done over a course of years, and your surge protector has been doing its job. This is the reason now, in the past, I would say 8 years now, that manufacturers have been installing indicator lights on them. That way you can tell if the surge protector is actually functioning. Because before, you would buy them and you had no idea if it was good or not. It was just there, unless you had a really bad surge and it damaged it. I've seen some burn up. I've seen some explode, but they don't reset. They take the hit. That's what they're designed for. And it has an indicator light to let you know when it needs to be replaced.
Just so the audience understands what he's saying, if you say to yourself, oh, I had one put in 2005 or 1980.
Yeah.
I mean, I would suggest highly to think about changing that surge protector out. The surge protectors that we supply from American Electrical are warranted, right, Juan?
Yeah, they're warranted.
And most importantly, they have an LED on them to tell you that it's no longer good, correct?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, like you just said right now, I mean, you may say, yeah, I do have one. I can't tell you how many times where I open up a panel and they're stuck inside.
Or blown open.
They're stuck inside.
Spring-loaded, so they're popped out the top.
Yeah, I mean, they're just hidden.
Yeah, and most people, like I said, all you know is that you have one. It's just like smoke detectors, Juan. I mean, most people don't pay attention to them, but they realize that smoke detectors are no good after 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, after 5 years, it's a good decision to change them out.
Yeah, if you have a smoke detector, that's something over at American Electrical we definitely want you to do, because we are coming into the cool season. But all the stuff that we've had with viruses probably ain't a bad idea to change some smoke detectors, right?
Yeah, that's one of the things that you don't want to skip out on is
maintenance.
You don't want to skip out on being prepared for the hurricane season. You don't want to skip out on some sort of surge protection for your system in your home. But most of all, life safety, and that's going to be, the smoke detectors.
And not to say it, but American Electric will come out for free, right? We don't charge for estimates.
We don't charge for estimates. We'll go through. We'll walk with you. We'll ask you questions. You can ask us any question you want, and we'll answer them. And we'll provide any proposal that you may want.
And you guys can offer a home inspection on the house, exactly, right?
Yep, home inspections.
And not to say it, I mean, maybe we should offer some kind of discount for these people out there listening for the home inspection this week?
Yeah, let's do that. If you give me a call over at American Electrical, 239-353-4389, you mentioned that you heard me on the radio, and we'll give you the home inspection is $150 value for $99.
$99 will come out. That's a whole service call to check your pool panels, check your electrical system. We'll come out for $99 and do a whole home electrical inspection, right, Juan?
Yes, and that's going to be for a home up to 3,000 square feet. 3,000
square feet. If you have a 3,000 square foot home, American Electrical, give Juan a call. What's that phone number, Juan?
239-353-4389.
The kind of service
that built America.
That's right. What's that phone number again, Juan?
239-353-4389.
The kind of service that built America. Well, Gerald, I mean, we've talked a lot in the last few weeks about the virus, and I want to take myself as the media, I guess, right? And I want to take myself out of the virus media part. Frenzy, or is that what you call it?
Frenzy, yeah.
Frenzy of the media. I want to start to talk about the things that we really came on this show for, small companies, right? Like B&K Services. If you're a small company out there and you'd like to get on the radio, you can send me an email at ac@theamericantrades.com. That's ac@theamericantrades.com. I more than welcome any guest on the show. I mean, if you are a small business in Southwest Florida, give me an email. I mean, I'd be more than happy to have you on the radio show. We do get up in the mornings at 6 o'clock and have this radio show, right, Gerald?
That's it.
6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock on Saturday mornings, every Saturday morning, right, Juan?
I'm here. Yeah.
We weren't sure if he was awake. We had to wake him up. But every morning on Saturdays, right, Gerald, at 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., the American Tradesman Show. Be sure to listen to us. I mean, again, it's a lighthearted show. Brian generally comes only in for Cadbury's, right, Gerald?
Cadbury's and jokes.
And peeps maybe sometimes, but we're over Easter. And I wanted to get back to you, Gerald. I mean, let's talk plumbing today, right?
Yes, I'm going to talk a little bit about plumbing today. One of the things I'm going to talk about is remodels when you're doing your plumbing. this past week we went and looked at a job to bid. There was a remodel going on, and it was an extensive remodel to give us the opportunity to bid. We came in, we bid, and the way we bid it out to have everything done correctly, permitted, everything. I got an email stating that my bid was exceptionally higher than the rest. With this remodel, they were adding 2 bathrooms to this home. With the current plumbing set up the way it was not designed to handle that extra load. So, I mean, you're adding another toilet, you're adding another vanity, and you're adding another shower 2 times to this same existing pipeline. You're enclosing, areas in the length of it. And so basically what I had to bid out for was changing out all the drains up underneath the home, which means we're going to have to cut concrete to the designated areas that we're going to run these drains, run drain lines. So you're basically putting a whole new plumbing up underneath. And the way I guess it was going to be bid by others was just tying into this existing line and hoping for the best. And you're going to overload this line.
It's funny that you said that. It's most of the time we're running into a lot of things right now is people just want it done now, and they don't want to do it the right way. And it's funny that you say that because it's sad to understand that people want, I know, to get it done fast, right? But in the same breath, they want it done cheaper, right?
That's right.
And there's that old saying, what is it?
You get what you pay for.
But do you want it fast, cheap, or good? Is that the 3 words?
You can't have fast and cheap.
You can only have
and
2.
Good.
Yeah,
you can only have 2 of those, right?
Yeah.
So that's part of one of the things that I let people know is that I'm not going to be the cheapest guy, but I'm the guy that's most responsible for the job. I'm going to make sure the job gets done 100%, and I'm not going to be that 10% at the end of the game that I can't get the job done, right?
That's right. I mean, with the amount that was going into the remodel, the home was decades old, copper under the slab. One of the places where there was a large manifold that transfers this water from one side to the other was going to be an open bedroom. So that meant that manifold was going away. And here you have probably 30, 40-year-old copper up underneath the slab. And rather than try to tie in and just move around, you're going to come out better with a repipe. Why put this kind of money into a place and use the same existing 40-year-old pipe that's on its last leg?
That's a no-brainer.
It's past the end of its lifespan. If you get 30 years out of copper, you're good. I mean,
it's sad to say this, but I said earlier that some people just want it cheaper because they think things are garage sales. Today I went to see my truck, my truck that's been in the shop for 9 months, and there was no speed to it. But the funny thing about all of it is that I knew I wasn't worried about getting the truck back as soon as I was, but I was always worried about how much I was going to spend, right? So most people always think that it's better off to get the cheaper price, right? And it's scary to say this, but a lot of times when I've done that, it's come back to get me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the cheaper price is not the right way because obviously it's something that in your mind, well, I just saved $1,000, but in the long run, I'm probably going to have a break pipe. 6 weeks later, I got something going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, like I said, the volume of it was not going to be good. And that's the way that we're going to bid it. We're going to bid it to do it correctly, not to do it halfway, and then there'd be an issue because if we were to do it by, that way, 6 months down the road after the remodel's complete and things aren't working correctly, then they're going to look to me for the issue, even though they are the ones that wanted to cut corners.
Let me ask you, Joe, were you the second plumber to come in on this project to bid out, or, because this is one of my pet peeves, when it comes to me is, you're
just a second number.
I'm just a second number, but at the same time, when you come in, and I can speak for myself, and I know I can say this for Gerald. We will come in and we will educate you. We will say, hey, this is what's going on. You have copper lines. They're at the end of their life. You have a 3-inch line. You're adding a shower. You're adding X and you're adding Y, and this needs to happen. This needs to happen because you're going to have a choke point, whatever the case may be. But it's an education process, and then So when we come in after the fact and we try to educate, the potential client, it's a hard thing for that potential client to swallow because they didn't get that same advice, that same knowledge from the person you're trying to compete against. So automatically, we're coming at a bad deal.
Sounds like a sales pitch sometimes.
It sounds like a sales pitch. It
does.
That's
a problem. What I think a lot of people get is that if we come in and explain to them the right way, right? I mean, we seen that job last week, and we realized that they had sprayed chlorine on the wall. We knew that there was chlorine on the wall. There's no way that they have taken the wood off the wall to explain that the backside of that wood is probably black, right?
Yeah.
And so, not to say it, but what Daryl's talking about is very common for us to go out to a job site, be the second number, right, Juan? Mm-hmm. And then to find out that we were maybe 10, 15% higher, right, Gerald?
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of this stuff you can find from Google. If you want to know what your contractor is and isn't supposed to do, I mean, everybody can find anything on Google. I mean, you can Google this stuff yourself. I mean, hey, what does it require for this? I mean, if you've got 4 to 5 bathrooms in a house, you're not going to go with a 3-inch line. You're going to have to go with something bigger. And
that could be a 1, 2, and 3 problem, right?
You can even go to the Florida Building Code.
That's correct.
Go to the Florida Building Code, and it'll tell you right then and there.
Yeah, and so I mean that was the big scenario. Is the existing trunk line in the home is a 3-inch. With the width, what they're doing, the locations of the bathroom. I mean, you're taking a portion of a lanai and turning that into a bathroom that's at the very back of the house. So I mean, you have a long draw that's going to be a 3-inch line, and with the number of there, you're going to have to change it over to a 4-inch line, and it's just something that it's not cheap, but that's going to give you the maximum advantage for your remodel because everything is going to run and flow like it should. Same thing with the copper lines. I mean, you don't know yet until, and especially if you get in there and start cutting concrete, start vibrating concrete, exactly what's going to happen to those copper lines in the concrete. Because now, where if you may have sediment that is settled over a pinhole, if that sediment moves, all of a sudden now you've got a leak under the slab. And if it's after the construction is done that you find this leak, well, guess what happened to your new floors? They get chipped out because it's either that or you're going to get a repipe. And you've just spent all this money trying to salvage 40-year-old material. And it's really not the way you'd want to go. And so if you do decide to get a remodel, educate yourself on the value of getting the extra step to make sure that it's done correctly, everything is brought up to code. Because, like I said, I mean, if you're going to have, somebody who's going to come in at significantly lower bids, and maybe I was the only one higher, I don't know. But like I said, if somebody is significantly lower, you have to understand that if they're just adding in lines to tie into the existing, what is that going to do?
Well, if you had 2 bathrooms and you added 2 bathrooms on the same line, so there's a total of 4 bathrooms?
Correct.
That's kind of a no-brainer. You add 2, you got 3-inch. So if you got a 3-inch pipe, that means double.
You have 40-year-old plumbing that was designed for 2 bathrooms, and you're adding 2 more. And like I said, the ramifications of realizing that the one is at the very back corner of the house on a portion of the lanai, and you're trying to gain enough pitch to come all the way forward to the existing line. I mean, you're going back across the whole length of the house to try to tie in. And I can guarantee you that when it comes down to it, that back bathroom is not going to drain correctly. You're not going to be able to get enough pitch, not with the depth of that line. And if you use multiple bathrooms at once, so you have people over and multiple bathrooms are used at once, chances are this line is going to back up. I mean, everybody knows in Florida the ground moves, settling happens. So at some point, you're probably going to have a dip in this line that's going to end up with water standing, and that's your biggest enemy with toilets. As you know, solids and paper goes down the toilets, and if you have water standing, the water passes through, the standing water catches these and holds them there and just builds them up until they become a mountain and everything gets backed up. And so you really need to make sure. And I mean, part of that is going to be cameraing the line. If you do a remodel, make sure you have your drain lines cambered to make sure there are no deficiencies in the existing line. If you're getting a remodel like that was, where you're adding 2 bathrooms, your best bet is if you're going to spend that kind of money, go ahead and get it redone because it's not designed for that load. Same things if you try to use a half-ton air conditioner unit where there was a 3-ton. You don't have enough there. So, I mean, it's just, knowing what it is and having somebody who's professional enough to understand that to the customer and actually want to do it right. If I got turned down for the job, that's so be it. I'm not going to do it any other way other than the right way. And I wouldn't do that to a contractor, customer, or anybody.
It's funny earlier you just said about the pipe size and not saying doing it the right way, but the reality is that it's the code way. It's not the right way, right?
Yeah, it's the code way. So, I mean, that
means that they probably wouldn't be pulling a permit anyways.
Well, that's correct. And part of our bid was, the part of the permit portion. And so, if that excluded us from the bid, then so be it. I mean, we're going to pull a permit and we're going to do things correctly. And if an inspector goes in there and sees it the way it is and he's able to pass that.
A lot of times, I mean, I will say that people will get by and sometimes the inspectors are so overwhelmed, they ain't paying attention, right? And they will pass it. But one of the things I will say, I mean, there is not one time in American Electrical Contracting or Prevent Plumbing and them that we're going to do anything illegal, correct?
That is correct. It's not worth my license.
It's not worth my license and also the warranty of the value of right. I mean, doing it right, I mean, is what you said, but doing it by code and by a permit is what I mean is the right way.
Yeah, it's not worth my license or my name.
That's right. And, we see many jobs where people like to listen to us talk about it, right? They want to be educated, right? Yeah. But they really just don't want to take heed of what we're saying to them. People want to keep their homes for a long time. I would suggest if you're renovating or remodeling to make sure you do it the right way. I mean, I can say that I know and I understand people want to get it done fast, right? They want to get it done cheap, right? Yep. But they don't want it done right.
That's got it.
Is that wrong? They want to get it done right.
Yeah.
So, I want it fast, cheap, and right. Or good, I guess is what it is. Fast, cheap, and good. Those are the 3 words that they want, and you can only pick 2. So the reality is that it is something important to understand that, I mean, Prevent Plumbing, they're going to do it the right way. They're going to pull a permit, and the other thing is they're not going to be using CPVC, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that on one of our competitors' commercial. You could see in the commercial that he's putting together things with CPVC. And they're talking about the whole company and I, like I said, I don't knock the company. That they are a plumbing company and they do quality work. They just make not always choose quality products. But like I said, the CPVC, if you're getting anything done in your home, a remodel, a repipe, do not allow them to use CPVC. This is a pipe that is only a temporary pipe. I mean, you're not going to use this pipe more than 15 years, and it's going to start breaking down and getting very brittle on you. And I can't tell you how many HOAs that I've been into that have this throughout these condos. And I can tell you one of them, I can't name the name, but I have been in there so much for that. And I mean, with both companies, I go in there for a leak, and next thing you know, there's several units that have been affected by this, usually upper and lower, sometimes up to 4 units that are affected by this CPVC. And that's a major issue because, like I said, this pipe is very brittle. I have people who will call me and they'll have a faucet they're going to turn the stop off to, and next thing you know, they've busted the 90 inside the wall from the CPVC because it's 12, 15 years old and it's breaking down. And I mean, you can't imagine it.
Well, Morgan & Morgan says they're suing for cast iron, right? Black iron or cast iron. I mean, sewers, right? So that's part of what's going on right now. Is a lot of the sewer lines are being cast iron, or not even. I mean, handling what they have now.
Yeah, cast iron is going to end up, cracking over time. We do that with a lot of them. We replace cast iron lines that are, stacks or drains that are cast iron, and you have to change them over to PVC. It's still a widely used pipe, so it's going to take quite a bit in order to get that class action lawsuit going because it's still widely used today. So I mean, that bandwagon may take quite a while before it actually takes off and starts rolling. But
I think what's kind of happening here, Gerald, is and I can speak on the electrical field is best practices. some of the best practices that was good 20, 30 years ago are no longer being used in our field, and that ends up happening with the progression of technology, looking at that practice that was used such a long time ago, finding the flaws and the faults and making those corrections. And I think what Gerald is trying to point out here is that those flaws are being seen now with the CPVC. And, and why use a system like that now when it's maybe one of the practices now, but it's a practice that's going to be phased out, and no longer used, I would say, in the upcoming future.
Yeah, I have 2 communities that are mandatory repipes for all the residents there. So I mean, every condo owner there, they mandatory have to have a repipe. They have polybutylene, which is an outlawed pipe. They got several bids, 3 different companies. 2 of the 3 companies bid it in CPVC. Of course, we bid it in PEX because that's all we use, and they got awarded to one of the CPVC companies. And it's just sad for me to go into these communities because these are communities that we do work for. But sad for me to go in there and see that they're stacking these things and these guys are knocking it out with the CPVC and they're doing it, in all of them. But I already know that in so many years' time, what's going to happen with this and the liability, and these people aren't even aware of it.
Well, like I said earlier, a lot of people really want a garage sale or somewhat, right? They want a little bit better price for things, and that's part of what the problem's about, is trying to get a better price for something they may really not pay attention to on a product, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of it, I think I'm a little bit more optimistic. I believe that if the people are more educated on the CPVC, more educated on the poly, they would see the advantages, the poly, and then, and go that route.
Yeah, the PEX system is probably the most, or the
PEX system.
The PEX system is most commonly used now, but there is companies out there that feel that they can use CPVC, which is not a crimped system, correct?
Correct. CPVC is going to be glued fittings, and like I said, that's good with PVC, which is a different kind of material that is used for drain. CPVC is only used for supply, and they do it a lot also with fire suppression systems. And I can tell you as a plumber, and I'm sure you guys can as an electrician, can tell you that is your worst nightmare to see when you go into an attic space. And we actually just had, somebody who we know that their guy was up there in the attic and stepped on one and snapped it. And it was unfortunate. But
that was me probably about 10 years ago.
No, this just happened last week.
I'm just saying, 10 years ago, we had our own fire alarm problem. We had one of our guys up at midnight trying to find a pipe for the electrical service and broke the CPVC in the attic. And because it is a fire sprinkler, there is no one that could touch the fire sprinkler
except for the fire department or a state-registered fire suppression system company. And then that's sad to say because that means that water, and I'm telling you, that is a high volume of water. That is much more water than your domestic feed is going to come pouring out of that line and has to continue that way until you can get somebody there to shut it off, which means that where you might have sustained minimal damage, now all of a sudden turned into maximum damage.
3 floors worth for me.
and like I said, this is CPVC, and they're getting away from that for fire suppression because of that reason. Because
we won't let our guys up in the attic for that. If they notice CPVC, we're out. We have to have a written warranty to get up into that attic now.
Yeah, it's just a liability. It's scary. We're like attic rats. We have to step on, trusses and everywhere and shimmy through, ducking and whatnot. And just one misstep. That's all it takes. One misstep.
And it's the same way for the domestic supply, not just the fire suppression. So the same thing, they run those, and then a lot of times the plumber's going to strap those right there to the joist.
Trusses, right.
And so you have no choice. You don't know. And a lot of these older places are blown in insulation, so you'll never see it. You got 8 to 12 inches of insulation above the rafters. So you never see it. And it's so hard to get in and move around in those and not know. And like I said, it's something that's a very, very big liability in your home, not only for the subcontractors, but yourself. If you have any kind of issue with pressure in the line, sometimes you may get a fluctuation of pressure in the line. It used to be that the county's line would pop, but now they got backflows everywhere. So if you have a fluctuation in the pressure of your line, you may not realize the pressure, but all of a sudden you'll notice a wet spot on your ceiling. And what's happened is they didn't have anywhere for that pressure to go, so it's going to pop one of your fittings on the CPVC. And that's, a sad thing to happen, but it happens quite often. And people don't realize it. They just say, oh, well, the pipe started leaking. But, you end up with small cracks in it. The one that me and Anthony went to was a CPVC line, and that was in the shower. And that just
was a slice. It wasn't even a crack, right?
It develops a crack. They're little hairline cracks that develop in the pipe because the pipe breaks down. Especially the hot water side will break down. Heat, it just reactivates this pipe and just breaks it down at a higher rate, especially if you have it in the attic space. And if you have it that comes up through the concrete, it's bad too, because the dirt as well as the chemicals in the concrete react with this pipe, and it just really eats it up. And if you have any kind of vibrations that happen in the building, the first thing that happens is it's going to want to split this pipe because it's putting too much pressure on it.
It gets brittle, right?
It gets very brittle over time.
Especially if it's in the attic. You're talking about 150 degrees in the attic in some of these houses, and it's going to get brittle because of the heat, right?
Yeah, and I see it where, they're doing some of these repipes, and they're actually running it up the side of a building and painting it and calling it good because it's going to pass inspection. It doesn't matter how much paint you put on CPVC, UV will break that CPVC line down in a matter of years. I mean, you have a better chance of it lasting longer in the attic than you would outside, even painted. And like I say, I'll see them run it right up the side of a building and right into a repipe. Because when you do a repipe, if you're on the second floor and it's polybutylene, of course, you're going to have a new main ran because it's done in polybutylene as well. So whereas we would go up the side of the building in copper because it does better with UV, I've seen a lot of these done in CPVC, and they just run it right up the building in CPVC, paint it, and call it. Hey, it's good.
And that's scary because, when copper was ran in the slab, for so long, it was a copper solder or one big piece of copper, right?
Correct.
And then solder above the concrete.
That's right.
Now, we've stuck in the last 15, 20 years CPVC, right?
That's right.
And polybutylene in the attics now, right? Until we've realized in trailers and other areas that these things can blow. And so they've found that these products are going to break. And now they found a product like PEX that won't have those issues, yet we still keep all these, products online. Does that make sense?
It does. It doesn't make sense. And like I said, it's just, if you know that, UV is going to kill CPVC, it definitely shouldn't go outside. But they run it outside. And then you have a landscaper who's going to come along with a string trimmer. First thing he's going to do is he's going to tap that line a couple of times with a string trimmer. Hey, that thing's blowing like a dang geyser over there.
It won't stop.
It won't stop. And if you're not there to realize it, then, you're going to automatically lose pressure in your unit. But if you're not there to realize it, all that water is going to get flooded out somewhere.
So the audience is listening out there. Today we talked about surge protection and a little bit about that lockout kit, right, fellas? And generators in general, because we are coming upon lightning season. But, the other side of this is that if you are a homeowner, and we have had this conversation, and you see anything other than a red and blue supply lines for your plumbing, right, Gerald? It's very easy to look underneath your kitchen, your water heater, areas like the attic. If you want to look up in there, if you are able to see a red and blue pipe, then you're in good shape from a standpoint of PEX. But if we're talking about CPVC, right?
Yeah, and it's going to be an off-white with a strip of yellow down it. If you see that piping, then you pretty much, have a pipe you need to be concerned with.
It's an important understanding that the insurance companies find any ways not to pay you, correct, in saying that? And then the other side is when they do pay you, they pay you minimal.
That is right.
And unfortunately, with the insurance companies of days, with hurricanes, if you have a leak in your shower and then a hurricane comes by, you're probably going to be in some big problems because they're not going to want to cover any of that stuff. So one of the things like today is about is obviously the awareness of CPVC versus PEX, I guess you could say, And on the show, we are a firm believer to use PEX pipe, right, Joe?
That's it.
And that's all we use. And the same thing is that you use surge protection on the electrical panels, and also to use surge protection right on with an LED light. Something that's going to tell you it's no longer working.
Yeah, you got to protect your electrical system regardless, for your electronics, for your lighting, internet. A lot of people are working from home now. It can go through your Ethernet lines, damage the ports on your routers or modems, damage the ports on your computers. We can protect that.
And grounding is something that we talked about. Grounding is an important thing. If you are unaware of your grounding, over at American Electrical, I'm sure that they will give you their professional opinion on your grounding if you gave them a call, right, Juan?
Yeah, you can give us a call at 239-353-4389.
And as well as, if you're a veteran, we give veterans discounts, right, Juan?
Always.
First responders, nurses, doctors, chiefs, and Indian chiefs, right? We give you a discount for being anything right now that's helping out on this coronavirus. We definitely had a hit out on the doctors and the nurses out there. They're working triple time. And some of these people that, as Gerald said a few weeks ago, the Wawas are really working double time, right, Gerald?
Mm-hmm. And Publix.
And the Publix is not working double time. But, it is important understanding that, the surge protection is one thing. If you got a call to let us know, if you want to call Gerald over at Prevent Plumbing, Gerald, for a free home inspection over there, they can probably call you to take a look at that PEX, right?
That's it.
And what's the phone number, Gerald?
239-596-5533.
Don't fret.
Call Prevent.
Well, I know Brian's not here today. I know he missed out today, and so did Danny. They both probably they were chasing their own work right now, as we all are trying to stay safe and non-sick, right, Juan?
Yeah.
It is important to understand that I know that this is a very hard time for some people out there financially. In some cases, you're having issues to try to, get yourself together and try to stay alive. If any of you are out there having problems with any of these systems, with plumbing, electrical, or air conditioning, anything, feel free to email me at ac@theamericantrades.com. That's ac@theamericantrades.com. If you're a veteran or someone that's in need right now that has some issues, feel free to email me, because I know that right now we're coming into the third and final week, and fourth week is probably going to be the toughest of a lot of people financially, right, Juan?
Yeah, and that's the reason why we want to help out. Those are,
Less fortunate,
and those are in the medical field as well. We know that you're working long hours. We know that you don't have time to take care of things. Give us a call. We can come out if you have any electrical issues. Well, we'll be more than happy to help you out and take care of anything that you have. Give us a call at 239-353-4389.
And Gerald, what's that phone number one more time?
It's going to be 239-596-5533.
And B&K Service, what's that phone number, Juan?
It's going to be 239-398-9834.
Again, for the audience out there, I want you guys to be safe. This is our time to give a little bit of a shout out, fellas. And I don't know who your shout outs are, but one of the shout outs I think I could probably give out is a very easy one for me. But Gerald, who do you have a shout out for?
This week we're going to give a shout out to everybody over there at Gorman and Ferguson. They're two of our supply houses. I know it's been rough. We make multiple calls to them daily, as well as any other plumbing outfit in town. And of course, the showrooms and their counters are closed, so you have to call everything or email everything in, and they have to pull it and have it ready for you. And usually, a lot of people are calling while they're on the way. So these people are getting a storm hit to them every day. So just want to give a shout out to them.
And Juan, who do you want to give a shout out to?
Actually, I'm going to give a shout out to a couple of my vendors. They're running a skeleton crew right now. They're trying to be respectful on the whole, distancing and whatnot. And, I'm going to give my hats off to Gray Bar, Craig and Steve and Tim, those guys out there. They just help me out whatever I need. If there's something in an emergency or in a rush at this moment, supplies are hard to come by right now, and they just go thick and thin to try to get it for me. Also over to Annixter, to Cy and Carlos and Jeff out there. Those guys, if I put a call in and I need something like right off the spot as well, they're there really quick to just get me what I need so I can get the help out.
Well, again, fellas, I mean, it's a tough situation for all of us to stay safe out there. I want to give a shout out to Matt Berman over at Noodles Cafe and his brother Seth Berman. Noodles Cafe has been around for years. I've known Matt and Seth for a long time, and they're doing a lot of takeouts. So you give the Noodles Cafe a call, and they have a drive-through, and they set you up, and they'll come right through and hand you the food. I mean, and I want to just give a shout out to all the families out there to staying safe. Hopefully that they can keep themselves safe and healthy for this next couple of weeks, right, Juan?
Yes.
So again, be safe, God bless, and Semper Fi.
Hoorah!